Hello, welcome to another basketball preview as we get closer to the start of the new SLB season. This episode, we're going to look at Manchester basketball, and with me once again is Louis. Louis, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
So, into looking at Manchester, new owners going into year two, they're ready to kind of make that, it feels that step up to being one of the elite kind of teams. They questioned Europe, tried to go in for the BCL FIBA route. Obviously, that was knocked down, but they're entering the EMBL. They've got a new coach, a lot of new players. And it's really just deciding where to look. They've got a great mix of imports with a vast amount of differing experiences, from rookies to players coming back to players that have played in different leagues across Europe, to also seeing a lot of British talent getting an opportunity as well to come back home. So, Louis, where do you want to start with this one?
Yeah, I think we have to start with who I think will be their most impactful import, and I think that's going to be, in terms of impacting winning and kind of like their feasibility in challenging Lions, potentially even at the higher end of the table, which might be a little bit controversial, but hey ho, that's what the show is for. I think that's Matt Nicholson, who was at Northwestern last season, who will be definitively the best rim protector in our league, without a doubt. 7-footer. Last season in D1 had one of the best defensive impacts ratings in the entirety of, D1 practically. So, and that's kind of showing the level of, because obviously at the 5 spot, the most important thing is like how much they kind of impact the game defensively. You know, the key thing is, how do you affect, rim attempts? And Matt Nicholson is that type of big, like a Sharma, that really like affects other teams' shot diets, and that affects other teams' game plans. He's that type of big that will affect other teams' game plans. And offensively, there was a stat in D1 that, in the high majors or something similar, he had the most, or one of in like the top 10 of the most points generated, like as a passer at the 5 spot. The most points, like most cuts assisted or something like that. So his key thing offensively is, as a passing hub big, you like handoffs, kind of at the top, kind of decision making, seeing guys cutting off, stuff like that. Matt Nicholson is the guy. He's terrific. Like, his passing vision's incredible, really. As a scorer, he finishes, like, if there's a semi-open basket, he will finish above the rim. He's a massive lob threat. Like, he's got great hands and just, chucking it down.
So is he the type of big man that you expect to be more in the athletic 7-footer rather than the traditional, maybe bigger? Where do you see him being?
Because the thing is, I mean, he very much looks not that, because he looks like a lumberjack. It's kind of like a joke, but he's not the type of athletic 7-footer where you're going to be comfortable with him kind of defending too much out on the perimeter. He's not a slouch. He's not too slow, but he's not going to be too comfortable out there. So I guess that's that. But in terms of finishing off lobs, stuff like that, as an athletic 7-footer, yeah, I guess in that regard, that's that. But to get back to like his scoring, as his non-dunks finishing is kind of a big, I'm not sure whether to say issue, but his touch is kind of is lacking. I think it's fair to say. And at Northwestern, he wasn't, like, his usage rates was like 12%. He wasn't tasked with scoring at all, really.
Like, but is that where
post scoring is not great?
So. I think we're sorry, Louis, for interrupting. We talked before about this Manchester team.
Your thing,
this Manchester team seems really much built around the pretense of defense. Like, they've got a lot of defensive pieces. Matt Nicholson's at the center of that. We know what Zach Irvin can do defensively. Kaiyem Cleary can be an in-your-face type defender. Cody John the same as a guard. But when you look through kind of any new players, is there anyone else defensively that stands out?
Who do I even mention? Because I mean, I want to mention Max Jones later in the pod.
Okay,
so
save Max Jones.
I think we'll
Let's
save him.
Let's save Max Jones.
But because I also want to mention Kaiyem Cleary. But okay, an underrated guy I think I might mention is let's mention Kane Henry. Let's mention Kane Henry because I like his versatility defensively.
Yeah,
Like he's 6'7". He's got he's not skinny. He's pretty well built. Physically, he can easily play 4. He even played as a 5 at times in Pro A Germany. So he's got that level of physicality to the point where you're comfortable with him sometimes going to get the 5 spot. And occasionally in Germany, he's not too quick, but he does have an acceptable level of lateral quickness and length to where he can guard down. He can definitely guard freeze, sometimes even guard at the point of attack. I mean, he's not the type of guy where he's going to be game warping defensively, but he's very versatile defensively. That's the point. And as a rebounder, additionally, he's great. He makes defensive plays at the rim, creates stealing opportunities. So yeah, that's the guy.
So let's maybe go on the other end of the ball. Let's look offensively. I mean, you've been hiring a lot of guys in this roster. Really impressed with their recruitment. Let's talk Max Jones. Kansas State, 6'4" guard. He seems to be the type of player that should over excel in this league.
Yeah, I think he's going to be one of the key players in this league this season, hands down, just from watching him. I think so. At Kansas State, he wasn't as offensively successful. I think it's fair to say he kind of transitioned to another role where he was more so, played for his defensive value. I think more so. That's kind of fair to say. But at Cal State, I can't remember the college, but whatever. At the college previously, he had a 32 usage rate, which is mental. So if you think about that's 30% of every possession the team uses offensively. He was involved in that, and he had a neutral true shooting percentage, which is ridiculous. But the thing is, he's 6'4". He's like 210 pounds. I'm going to keep on getting back to this because physicality is now kind of one of my key words, one of my buzzwords. But I think he could legit play at the 4 in some leagues, including ours. Sometimes he's built like he's massive, and he really likes to, because he's got so he played as like a secondary handler at his previous college as like a 2. He's really good at kind of using, because his handle isn't massively creative, but what he does do really well is kind of change of pace, kind of feeling out the balance of the defender and kind of exploiting that. He's exceptionally good at mid-range shot making and pulling up. If he gets space, he's exceptionally good at creating space via step backs and stuff like that. He really loves to kind of get into the body of the defender and kind of step back and pull up from and hit 5 from the mid range. So considering the size of the typical 2s in our league, like I'm thinking about Surrey, who have Keno Lilly. I love the guy, but he's 6 foot. Against a guy like Max Jones, we play so many combo guards in our league. Against a guy like Max Jones, he's going to feast against those types of guys because that's why he was so successful at the level below the high majors in being able to shoot above, shorter defenders. He's exceptional at doing that. His one weakness is his shot, his ability to generate efficient points around the rim. So he's not an exceptional vertical athlete. He's not the quickest. He's got a great feel for change of pace. He has a decent level of speed, but in terms of separating, because he hasn't got the most creative handle in terms of creating or creating like lanes down to the rim. He isn't the greatest at creating. He does generate a lot of rim attempts, but he's not the greatest at creating the cleanest looks at the rim.
Yeah.
So he shot something terrible. I think he shot like 30% at the rim in the half court, which is awful. So there's that. So that's kind of the flip side. Even though he is physical and uses that physicality around the rim, he isn't the greatest at that. But I think his shot making, like from free and in the mid range as a ball handler, is just going to be killer. So, and he can also assist off his scoring threat. So there's that. Yeah.
So if we look
defensively, he's good. So yeah,
I think that's going to be the mantra for everyone in this team this year. Is defensively they're going to
good.
Make a difference. All right. I want to talk about a player that I didn't know a big deal about coming over. British guy, Tim Adikukasi. Someone I didn't know a lot about. He's obviously spent last season at Phoenix 2010s in North Macedonia, 6'6". That's kind of all I kind of knew about him before he was announced. Can you give us any insight into him?
Yeah. So he was kind of like an underheralded Brit coming out of NCAA D2. He didn't really have like standout stats coming out of D2. He picked up a good pro gig in. I think he started in Slovakia. That's it. He started at Kamano. Then he moved mid-season to Phoenix after he I think he did well in Kamano. Kind of got probably like a lateral move, but yeah, like a move abroad.
Yeah.
But he's like an underheralded Brit that's, I think, is more of a 4. But he's again physical guy. That's kind of who they've kind of recruited. You know, very very stocky. He's listed at 240, which is ridiculous, but he's very stocky. He's pretty good moving wise, which I was kind of surprised at. Kind of watching the tape, like he moves pretty well. So I think defensively is a big plus, and he had really good steals rates as well. Like he had 3% steals rate. So again, that's another guy defensively that's going to be big, and he's a big rebounder too. Offensively, he's kind of like a guy that in North Macedonia, he was like shooting off a lot of pick and pops. I don't expect him to be in a lot of screening actions because that's probably Matt Nicholson's job. But like he's kind of like he'll be a lower usage spot up guy occasionally, you know, slash like attacking off like advantage situations. But yeah, he can hit the free. He's decent at slashing. He's a good British role player, I think.
A question I want to jump to, when we look at this roster and we saw the success of, we'll go back and talk to it about a player in a second, but it's just something that crossed my mind. They've brought in a coach with a lot of experience in Matt Otten. One domestically in Austria last time out, had good success in the Netherlands. Bringing in, he's obviously a coach familiar with the game in this country. It seems like with the NBL, when you compare it to the Newcastle roster that got to the final, this feels a roster that's leveled up from that. And it's crazy that we're going from a situation with Manchester. We're even just talking about, I think we've touched on 3-4 players so far from that roster. Matt Nicholson, Max Jones, Tim Adikukasi, and Kane Henry so far. Defensively, that there'll be a right issue for other teams in the NBL. Like for me, as looking at this roster, they should be looking to go as far as what Newcastle have done. When we look at this, okay, we don't know how teams around that competition will also level up. But as a newcomer into this competition, with a good mix of experience from like Kaiyem Cleary, who's played in France, Adikasi, who we just talked about, played in North Macedonia. You've got Jordan Johnson, who we'll probably talk off, played in Kosovo. Zai Williams played in Denmark, for example. Players that have all played in leagues quite similar to what they should expect in ENBL. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. I'm thinking exactly the same thing in terms of EMBL. Like, I think their roster's far superior to what Newcastle's was last season. I think, well, they were clearly recruiting for BCL. Looking at how many homegrown guys they signed, which was in line with FIBA rules. So, I mean, we have to see how good teams like Heracles are going to be. But I think ENBL, they should certainly be looking at the latter stages with a squad like that. So
the world is their oyster. All right. Let's talk about Kaiyem Cleary, a big player that I think Manchester have got a bit, not lucky to get, but someone who played 7 games in Pro B last year. Someone that's probably looking for another opportunity. Manchester seems a good fit. He's from the area. 6'6". Yeah, played in France last year. What should we expect to see from Kaiyem Cleary?
I think we should expect to see a lot. I really like him. So his key attribute is, well, athleticism. Vertically, he's one of the most springiest guys you'll see. Like, he gets blocks on jump shots, like that type of athleticism. His defensively, his ability to he's just an excellent athlete. I think that's just fair to say, and he's quick laterally. He can guard at the point of attack perfectly fine. Offensively, he's just a pure shot maker. That's his thing. Like his in Pro B France in the short stint that he had there, he was just like a pure 3-point gunner, really. Even over tough contests, like, this guy will hit. Like, his shot making is ridiculous. He has so off the dribble, because he occasionally because he can create off the dribble. He can create with his handle. He really likes to step back and shoot from the mid range. He's more so like a guy that likes to. He's kind of like a tough shot maker. He's one of those players that really likes to shoot tough shots. He's got a tough shot diet. But with his shot making, that's kind of the thing. He's not a very willing passer, because he really likes to shoot tough shots again. But as a floor spacing kind of like 3-and-D guy that can also create his own shot, and also with a British passport, homegrown from your city. I bought the T-shirt, by the way, from Kid from Gorton. I got that. But as that guy,
surprised you're not repping it tonight. Like, that would have been perfect for the video.
I should have worn it, but I wasn't thinking straight. But nah, I really like him. He's gonna be a big threat in our league. Yeah. Like, he as a guy, like, his shot making is just tremendous. So yeah.
All right, let's talk about one more player before we look at the depth chart. Is there one of the guards you want to highlight? Do we go Jordan Johnson or PJ Smith?
Yeah, PJ Smith.
Okay, let's go PJ Smith.
PJ Smith out of Furman. They like Furman's a historically very good, typically a good program out of SoCon, and he was like their point guard. His thing is he's like a modern guard prototype that loves to. He's excellent off ball. He really likes to kind of play in the pick and roll, kind of pass it off. He loves to relocate into threes. He's that type of guard that's constantly kind of like, that really loves to kind of work off other players. Kind of like, I can't think of anyone from our league, but my constant example's a little bit like Steph Curry. but he's obviously nowhere near that. But a little bit, he's that type of guy. He's a shot maker from deep and from free. That's kind of his thing. He's excellent at is shot making again. He's excellent at shooting off the dribble, kind of creating looks from free, like step backs and stuff like that. He's versus Jordan Johnson, because Jordan Johnson's more of like a Jalen Ray type, who's more shifty and crafty off the handle, whereas PJ Smith's a little bit more fast downhill, a little bit more physical, a little bit more linear kind of in his handle, in his driving game, but he likes to kind of uses speed, decent speed and physicality to kind of craft his looks rather than being more adventurous. And he's also good defensively too. He's like I said, physically, his physicality really pops out as well. Like when he's guarding other guards, he uses his chest very, very well in stuff like that. He's got decent quickness, that's kind of his thing. He's excellent from free, plays very well off of others, which I think kind of informs the signing of Matt Nicholson, because obviously he's going to be playmaking a lot. Yeah. You have a guy like PJ Smith who can space off of him and really work well off of him. It's kind of an interesting thing. In terms of rim pressure, though, he's not the greatest. And I think that's kind of an issue in this Manchester squad, that all their guards, and then you look at their wings as well, they don't really have that guy that's going to pressure the rim too much. Because, like I was talking about Max Jones, his thing's mainly shot making from the mid range and from free. Like Jordan Johnson is like a Jalen Ray type, who's a little bit more skinny and more kind of better at creating off the dribble in the mid range for free. PJ Smith is that guy too, but a little bit more physical. So that's kind of like a question mark that I pose. But yeah,
good question mark. Okay, let's move on. Let's have a look at their depth chart. So hopefully this is also just sitting here ready to go.
Let's wait and see.
Well, I know, wait and see. It's a surprise for everyone. Hopefully that is right there for us all to see. It is. Look at that. Boom. So this is how you lined it up in terms of what we should expect. What we're seeing is, obviously, you're saying that from a starting 5 point involved, you've got PJ Smith, Jones, Nicholson at centre with Irvin and Cleary. We've not talked about Zach Irvin at all yet. He's a player obviously coming back. Had a great impact last season. Showed early on an inside game, and then all of a sudden developed this 3-point shooting game. And at times he took over games with his all-round play. Zach Irvin is the last player we'll talk about. Is that, when we look at the depth chart, do you see him being the starting 4-man, or what how can he continue to show his versatility in this league? Because it feels like he can guard anywhere from like the 2 to the 5.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just slotting him where he's most valuable. That's why I thought he's more valuable in like a starting unit. Guarding against the best players on the opposing team, kind of guarding the best player.
Yeah.
At the free spot, you've got Kaiyem, who I think is nailed on to start. I got into a kind of discussion with one of my favorite guys on Twitter, but about him or Kane Henry starting. But I think it will probably be Kaiyem. I think Kane Henry's more of a 4, to be honest. But I think Kaiyem is just better as a floor spacer and additional shot creator. I think I put him in the starting lineup because obviously his defense, and then however they want to use him, And
I suppose offensively, someone like a Zach Irvin, he probably doesn't need the ball often enough to be. He's someone that isn't going to be demanding the ball. He'll do it like catch and shoot. He'll do it cutting to the basket. The amount of times I remember him cutting along the baseline last season, like he operated round the basket and at the rim really well. He's probably, from what you're saying and what I'm picking up, is he'd probably one of their best rim finishers.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, like if you think about lineup dynamics, you've got PJ Smith and Max Jones who's going to take up a lot of the ball.
Yeah.
Having a guy like Zach Irvin who can cut off of their stuff, that's valuable. And obviously you've got Matt Nicholson who's excellent at pass to the cutters. So.
Yeah, there we go. It's the perfect balance. All right, last time we're going to do these ones as we did for our London Lions as well. The prophecy one to watch. Is it Nicholson or is it? I think you're leading to Nicholson, aren't you?
No,
or is it Max Jones? Max Jones.
It's definitely Max Jones. Do I need to talk about him again?
No, we've already done it. I think Max Jones is, for me, looking for, obviously you look at where he's come from college wise, you think that's a massive basketball school. Like you expect some sort of quality to even just be making that roster at Kansas State. So big to me, he's got big expectations around him and what he can do, both I suppose domestically and in the NBL. When you look at guys like Ashford Langford, I suppose using this league as almost a springboard into like Lithuania and what that can do. Players like Max Jones used to be looking at him thinking, okay, if I can do what Mackay did, the basketball world's my oyster as such. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think all the top leagues should be looking at how well he does. So, yeah.
Awesome. All right, this has been our Manchester basketball kind of roster preview. Keep getting involved, like, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel, which this will be on. These will be exclusively on YouTube, and yeah, join us for the next team, whoever that may be. So yeah, thanks for listening, Lou. Thank you very much.